I will let members and staff introduce themselves.
Meredith Crandall, staff.
Stephen Everett, member.
Rebecca Owens, member.
Eric Gilbertson, member.
Okay, we have a quorum. At this point, we'll let Meredith review the remote meeting procedures and process.
Okay. So, per usual, this presentation is mostly for, at least the beginning is for people who are watching via ORCA Media. And it's not letting me get to the right place. That's okay. They'll still be able to see it. But there's tidbits in here for anyone who's attending remotely. For those viewing tonight's design review committee meeting via ORCA Media, you can participate in the discussion via the Zoom platform through either video or telephone access options. For the full video experience, you want to type this link into your web browser. Alternatively, you can call in to this telephone number and when prompted, put in this meeting ID and passcode. If anyone is trying to access the meeting and having problems, please email me at mcrandall@montpelier-vt.org. I will be monitoring my email throughout the meeting. For those attending via Zoom, turning your video on is optional. We do ask that for everyone attending remotely to please keep your microphone on mute when you're not speaking to help reduce background noise. And if you do wish to speak, please raise your hand and wait until the chair calls on you. The Zoom chat function should be used only for troubleshooting or logistics questions. Any substantive questions or comments need to be made verbally. I know everybody who's on remotely, so in the event the public is unable to access the meeting, it will need to be continued to a time and place certain. Thank you, and I will hand the meeting back over to the chair.
At this point, if all members have had a chance to look at the agenda, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Eric moves.
Rebecca seconds.
All in favor of the agenda, speak your names.
Eric.
Rebecca.
And Stephen. Agenda is approved. Unless anybody else has anything to add at this point, we'll go to the first item on the agenda, 135 Main Street. You want to have at least one or two of you come up and describe your project.
You can, if you think you're going to be talking a lot, you can sit at the round. Okay, then that's fine. Should this be better? Whatever works for you is fine. It's a little easier to flow there than to be getting up and out of the seats. Yeah. You guys want to come up? So we're ready to... we will need the names of speakers before you speak. Okay. So that we can have the minutes clear.
Great. And did you want to share the PDF or, great.
Share this one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. So I'm Talia Stoneroff. I'm the Associate Director and Associate Professor of the School of Architecture and Art at Norwich University. I'm also a local architect with Stoneroff Workshop Architects. And we are really thrilled to have the opportunity to design and build a playscape for Kellogg Hubbard Library. And Dan Groberg is here as the Executive Director of the library as well. So our class has been working on this project for about a month. And we've been engaging with community outreach and doing a lot of research into history and precedent. And I'm going to turn this over to the students to give a brief presentation on our process and then the current design.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Riyam El-Janabi. As a class, we initially researched precedents of playscapes around the world. Each project have their own unique approach to how build and enhance the child's mind and through different techniques and built buildings and games. Then we also researched the history of Montpelier, but also Kellogg Hubbard Library. And after that.
Hello, my name is Sarkis Abrahamian. We have done our due diligence with talking to the community. We've visited the site multiple times, observed, talked to children. We attended the Builders Day at the library and had a chance to talk to the kids, take notes and what they are looking for, what the parents are looking for. We've submitted surveys for feedback on all social media platforms. The library has put out surveys for us, and we've got lots of community feedback so far that we're trying to implement.
In addition to the community feedback, we also have a meeting scheduled with the Vermont Center of Independent Living to talk specifically about accessibility and make sure, though it's already part of our design, that we are getting specific feedback from their organization.
So the Playhouse is, my name is Javante Williams. I'm gonna be describing what we've been putting out so far. The Playhouse, which is going to be a small scale outdoor play space located outside of the library in Montpelier, is going to be designed and constructed through Norwich University's Design Build Studio, where the project provides a flexible all-season environment for children play, learning and community engagement, with the structures organized to support ADA, medium, and high mobility users, and in hopes that can encourage imaginative, the physical and social activity while prioritizing safety all around. Durability and ease of maintenance is also a must that we're seeking to prioritize while remaining rooted in local context and material authenticity. The organization of path and platforms draws an abstract inspiration from Vermont's granite formations and waterways, and the slatted decking reinforces directional movement and visual rhythm throughout the structure, while vertical elements sort of seek to abstract the calm presence of Vermont as and the surrounding trees and frame views towards Montpelier, emerging a form of synthesis of branch and node bridge systems that interact with each other and come to form a system of fractal under overthroughs that the children will sort of utilize the space through being able to not only go through it, be able to interact with it and go under, not be limited by the structure itself. So it's a spatial strategy that the children will be able to utilize. The Playhouse translates natural relationships into a cohesive, approachable civic play environment. And that's our hopes for this project.
Hi, my name is Elijah Meyer. I will be talking about how the start of talking about how we hope to design this project with response to the site and understanding desire pathways of where people are coming from and understanding materiality of the site, using a pathway material that is ADA accessible and allows for wheelchair usage without impacting them in such a way that gravel would or mulch would, but instead something that feels much more comfortable. And thinking about things like floodways and safe and sustainable local resources. We look at some of the places in which kids were coming from, such as with the elementary school, the middle school, and where parents park, and call on those to form our pathway and to form where we want a consistent ADA conversation where people can come throughout the site, touch the site, interact with the site without having to be somebody who is hypermobile or completely abled.
I'm Jesse Harmon, and so in addition to that, as Javante was mentioning before, as we're representing the morphology of the river, and also overlaying, as this is a zone for children as well, and catering to their minds, the synapse structure and how that pattern overlays. One of the things that we are considering is this to be an all-inclusive 0 to 99 space in terms of age, and as you move into this zone, we would like for these architectural implementations to incorporate both large and small zones, so community-oriented, congregating-oriented spaces, as well as more smaller, individualized, personalized zones. And in those more personalized zones, they implement these interfaces and panels that can be resembling board games and even abstract patterns, which are either kinetic or static, and they can allow for interaction and kind of nootropic factors that are catering to the child's mind as well.
Children, parents, and the public, if you look at the first page, are or can approach the site from Main Street, which is right over here, and then School Street on the other side. That's where the elementary school as well, where kids come from, and the middle school on the other end. And this is how the site is drawn around the playground or playscape, and then they're very visible from the street, even if you're driving by car. And you have those interesting sculpture-like or granite crystals platforms appear right in front of you, and absolutely open to interpretation and approach. They are not as strict as to tell you where exactly to start on this playground, so it's a freedom of choice where to start and play around it. um
Hello, my name is Riley Harper, and for the site response in terms of the accessible parts, one thing that we were told when we were engaging with the library was we don't want the coolest element to be inaccessible to students who may be immobile or in a wheelchair. And so as a part of that, we wanted sensory and scientific enriching experiences. As you can see with some of the walls that follow along the pathway, we have responses to the idea of going over, under, and through an object. Students who will like to go around objects, run around, and have that freedom of mobility, but also feeling like they can still hide and engage in their own imaginative play. And so we have objects that can be climbed on. We have a perforated wall in the middle there. That one is detailed around the sun, so you can see how it reacts into the shadow interplay and gives opportunities for scientific inquiries. And it's also, if you stand back far enough, it's representative of the granitic structures and how those crystalline fractures happen in granite. So it provides a multitude of uh, educational opportunities for anybody going through the park. And so it really brings the idea of asking questions and how can they interact with the space. It's an unlimited amount of opportunities.
Good evening. My name is Troy Arzari. But in terms of the overall design, we went and took the approach of a low, medium, and high tier aspect of the design. Low being very much ADA accessible, mid tier being ADA accessible, but also like physically challenging as well. And then a high tier being physically challenging overall. As you can see, the path is basically centered around our ADA accessible. We got the walls and the walls that allow the kids to interact and see different scientific things. For the one down on the right, that's very much like you could play with the blocks there. And then we're going to be adding another wall that also patterns light in a different way than the one that was talked about before. Um, and then yeah, for the wall of numbers, we're trying to make this 0 to 99, but specifically for the 0 to like 10 range where they're like still getting used to things and making it very much educational for the kids. We like to bring that aspect of like getting very familiar with different things. So a mathematical response was suggested and implemented. And then for the mid tier, which would be the one on the bottom left structure, yes, right there. That's ADA accessible with the ramp on the left. But it's also meant as a picnic area as well. So it goes from 18 inches to 30 inches, and that 30 inches is more of like a sitting ground in between where parents or children can sit, relax, watch their kids, or even sit and have fun. Um, and yeah, I'll be passing it off to Jesse Harmon.
Yes, just to reiterate on that. So we want it to be all inclusive, but also upon analysis, when we had spoke with some children at the library, there's very much a desire to have like a vertical exploration as well. And so there's two major nodes. And yes, as Troy was saying, one is ADA, but and does feature the same kind of grammatical elements as the other one as well. but we don't want to limit it to it being flattened to do allow for that the climbing and the vertical exploration. So.
Tiny addition. This playscape is access for people, parents, and children from all ages, 0 to 99. So we made sure that this is accessible for everybody in the community.
Hi, I'm Nadalia McCleary. I just wanted to add one more thing about our design. So in our mid-level tier, as you can see, there is a Nook edition. That was well loved by the library committee, the Montpelier Library Committee, as a place of like kind of enclosure, but not fully enclosed, so that parents can still see their children. But it's more designed to be like a reading nook or like a place where a child could have a private moment to themselves.
So this is Talia Stoneroff. We welcome comments. We'll be finalizing the design this week and submitting the final on Friday. But we've reached out in many different ways to the community, and we welcome feedback.
And I'm happy to share again. I just wanted to be able to see who was on and see who might have questions.
I'd love to just give a little context. Dan Groberg, Executive Director of the Calicut Library, if I may. So the library serves more than 10,000 children attending our programs every year and hundreds of kids coming after school each week. And we really see our lawn as an extension of our programming. So we understand that there's a real lack of publicly available play spaces in downtown Montpelier. We are only a few blocks from Union, obviously, but the Union playground is not available during the school day or after school hours because of their after school programs for the public. So there's a real lack of play spaces. And so we were really excited about this opportunity to partner with Norwich. Our building is from 1895, and this project is part of an effort really to make the building less intimidating and more welcoming. We're a place that welcomes everyone in the community, no matter who you are or what your background. We want you to feel welcome at the library. And while our building is beautiful and amazing in a lot of ways, it's very imposing. It has this very, imposing civic building feeling that doesn't necessarily welcome people. So, this is an extension of, one thing that's been incredibly popular is just those bright Adirondack chairs that we have on our lawn, little pops of color. And so we see this as another opportunity. Those chairs would stay as well, but we see this as another opportunity to just, balance the tradition of our building with innovation, which is really our goal as a library. So we're really excited about this project. We're excited to serve people in a new way. We've gotten a lot of feedback. The design team has received a lot of feedback from the public. I think they had several dozen survey submissions in just like 48 hours. This is something that people are obviously very excited about and interested in. And I know there's going to be a lot of opinions about it, but we're really excited about this opportunity to expand what we do and how people see the library.
I have a couple of questions. What are the materials? Obviously wood. What is the wood?
Hi, my name is Elijah. We're looking at using a hemlock wood, which is very good and sustainable in terms of environment control. It takes a lot of weathering very well, and it is a very strong material to work with. We're also looking at using things like pressure treated for and not for accessible areas for children to touch, but for an area for structure, to make sure that over time the entire structure won't decompose in a way that will be harmful and will be strong over time. We want to make sure that we are thinking about and highlighting a way to make sure that water damage and constant usage isn't going to hurt this building and won't hurt the people using the building.
The pressure treated would only be used for ground contact, so the mid-level structure, and would be covered. So children would not have access to that. And we're planning on having the wood milled locally at Fontaine's Mill.
Yeah.
They did all of the milling for the Nest project that was part of the playground project. And that was built in 2018, and the wood's doing extremely well. We use a wonderful Vermont product called Vermont Natural Coatings for sealing the wood. They've been a great partner with us for the entire time. And then we've also looked at using a perforated steel for some of the shading structures above. So not accessible for students to be interacting with, but would provide really nice shading. And potentially a marine plywood for some of the interactive inset panels on the higher structures. And a decomposed granite for the path. And sonotubes for some of the structure for the larger pieces, and then helical piles for the structure. We're also working with an engineer, Engineering Ventures, and they're a wonderful partner, completely pro bono.
What is the material between the transitions of the 3 boxes in the back?
Harmon again. So those small tree houses, they would be on a plinth, which is a concrete cast. Those are the sonotubes. And then for the floor, it's a 4x4 steel grate that we are in the midst of sourcing right now. And then from there is the hemlock wood, 2x dimension, and then also those windows are for the marine grade plywood interfaces to fall into, to dock into. And then above that are the satellite perforated steel panels.
And what's the material between the boxes?
The material between the boxes, we're looking, those are placeholders. We're looking right now at netting systems. So you can see that there's an actualized one over to the left of that, where 2 figures are standing in a column. The netting structure is still to be determined in terms of that.
Are you required as part of a play structure to have railings that would normally be required for porches and anything above certain heights?
We are following normal code for this, so we're not taking on a specific playground code, because we don't see this as a playground per se. There are no traditional elements like a slide or swings, which are incredibly expensive, beyond the entire budget for the project. We've looked into it. And so we are following a traditional code for, yes, anything above 30 inches will need a railing. And a few things in here are placeholders, and we'll definitely have those updated to code. It will go through the normal.
The wheelchair accessible ramp, are you required to have a curb for that?
So that was, the mid structure is not actually ADA, because the ramp can only rise 1 inch per foot. And that would mean if that's 18 inches high, it would have to be 18 feet long. So yes, if that was truly, it is a low to mid mobility structure, but it is not actually an ADA to code ramp. Sorry, that.
No, I was just wondering if they were requiring curbs on anything that was accessible.
Right.
I was looking specifically at the structure here.
Yes.
If that was an accessible ramp, are you
Right.
required to have curbs
It's
there?
not officially accessible.
Okay.
It's a mid to low mobility structure. Yeah. And everything on that structure is below 30 inches. It's at seat height. So it's more of a, seating.
That's why there are some board games, a ladder spread out around the site so that people with accessibility or like wheelchairs are also welcome to play with these boards. So they're not really just watching or sitting there, but there are specific places.
Are these new pathways through that area of the lawn?
It is yes, that is a new accessible path through the area of the lawn. And the students formulated that path based on the desire paths that we observed on site.
And what's the material of the path?
That would be decomposed granite. We were looking at a estimate based on McCullough crushing, which is, I believe, in Barry.
Hold on a second. Rebecca and Eric, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, he was between the microphone, so I wasn't sure.
We were looking at decomposed granite. It is ADA accessible. Unlike a lot of other pathway materials, you don't tend to get large chunks of anything. So when you're rolling a wheelchair across it, you don't get that bumpiness or anything. So it's very, very friendly, with fairly minimal issues. And overall, it's a very, very eco-friendly and very nice for the site, and fairly inexpensive.
Is that packed like a stay mat would?
Yeah, exactly. And whatever the final material is we'd love to use decomposed granite. It's a really nice landscape product, but that path will be an accessible material. And I know there was a question with the floodway and river permit that all of these pieces will be anchored either using a helical pile or a sonotube. So nothing will be removable or easily movable.
Won't float away.
Right.
Which also means it's safer for kids who might want to try and climb on it.
Yes. Yes.
How,
No,
how
most
far
of-
away is this from the existing patio by the side door?
You can see if you go to the site, the first page, I think it shows so the library, you can see the outline of the library there above, and then
There's like here about.
right.
Yeah, the patio is about where the little hand cursor is. Because these are two existing trees.
Oh, if you go to the next page, it might show.
Oh, here we go. Here's the patio edge.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I took a quick look at the thing, didn't really have a chance to study it. I guess I don't think the building's nearly as imposing as Dan does, but I would think keeping this further back would be a better location for it, to keep it away from the front of the building.
We're balancing, Dan Groberg, we're balancing a few needs. One is trying to maintain distance from the street for kids who are running around for safety. And one is maintaining some of the existing side lawn that's very popular for sitting and reading and things like that. So we actually had asked them to move it further. This proposal is slightly closer to Main Street than the previous proposal that they had presented to us, in response to our desire to keep some of that, more of the side lawn open. That being said, I think, we're certainly open to your feedback.
I think all the platforms and stuff are like 18 inches off the ground. So they become a seating area for adults, right?
Correct. And there's a well-loved, we also tried in conversation with the library, of course, there's a well-loved area just to the right of our designed area that is used for story time for preschoolers, and that is, we wanted to make sure that was maintained and usable.
Do you mean sort of the patio space, or do you mean just the lawn?
Right there.
Just
The
the
lawn
lawn,
area.
this sort of quadrant there.
Mhm.
Yep, and it needs to be enough space where you have a big group of preschoolers who. Gotcha. And keep them in the story time versus distracted by the structures.
We've thought a lot about exactly.
I've taken little kids to story time.
Yes.
Are most of the materials going to be in their natural color state, or are there colors added to any portions of it?
We will be mostly allowing the wood to remain natural and gray, though we will use a sealer that will help maintain its longevity. But yes, we are going to be implementing color, painted color or stained color, not trying to make the wood look like a different type of wood. We want to celebrate the local wood, but the library and the community loves the pops of color already shown with the Adirondack chairs, and we plan to implement that throughout the, like the interior of the circle, for instance, might be a bright color. So we don't plan to paint large portions of the structure, but there will be pops of bright color throughout.
Especially like the interactive panel spaces.
Dave, jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if
Does
Rebecca, I think Rebecca's still on. Rebecca's still on. Okay.
do
I
either
am.
she or Eric have any other questions, comments, suggestions?
Rebecca, Eric, I don't know if you just heard Steve. Any other questions, comments?
I have a question, and maybe I missed it, but to the far left, there's a little kid in red and a little kid in blue, and what's behind them?
Somebody's coming.
Jesse Harmon, that is a net structure that is tensioned between one of the treehouse modules and then a column that would be structured into the ground. That would allow for circulation into that the more treehouse like part of the design.
Yeah, they said at one point in the presentation that the netting features hadn't quite been finalized, Eric. So this would be netting, and then these sort of walkways in between the treehouse structures would be some form of netting, but they haven't figured out the final type and style on those yet.
I wanted to add in just a thought for consideration, and that a lot of times netting can trap deer, and that I know we have a lot of deer that go through town or in the area, especially fawns that are growing into full-size deers when they go through spaces. So I just wanted to, if you hadn't considered it, maybe you want to.
Thank you. No, we hadn't thought about that. We have experience with netting from the nest, and we are aware of potential challenges with it. So that will be, and we will be presenting this final design. This is the first time Dan's seeing the final design on Thursday. So that's still in conversation about the final material decision. But children are very excited about climbing nets. So we're trying to navigate all of the different ideas.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of wildlife within the city limits.
Yes. Yeah.
Bear.
We did warn them about our favorite skunk.
The skunk.
So the last thing you want to do is snag a skunk.
No, definitely not.
That's also for the getting under the platform.
We are planning for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do not want that to turn into a hidey hole overnight.
Right.
Winter hibernation spot for critters.
They're 4 feet high to the floor, and I think they're 4 by 4 by 6 feet tall. So they should be tall enough for kids to want to go under and play, or sit and have a little shade for them to sit and read books.
Disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure that anything that is lower to the ground is we're planning on doing a wire mesh, covered with wood, but then also a wire mesh to make sure unwanted animals are not beneath.
Don't have any further questions.
So really looking forward to seeing the final proposal for the
Great.
permit applications.
Great, and we'll make sure to incorporate your questions and that we make sure that those items are called out in the submittal.
Okay.
I worry a little bit about the safety part of the netting and the size of the holes in the netting. And you just want to be very careful that people can't get their heads stuck in it, because there is some code stuff about holes in railing.
Of course.
Space between railings.
Yes, we will be following all of that. And the netting company it's not just a netting company. It's a company that actually makes nets specifically for children's structures and really extensive structures. So we'll be sure, thank you, to incorporate all of the code requirements. Definitely.
Safety is, Dan Groberg, safety is obviously incredibly important to us, both to keep our patrons safe and also our insurance company is cares about that as well. So that will certainly be addressed.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
And thank all of you for coming and speaking and contributing to the project. It's a nice cooperative effort.
Yes, and I know you guys will be on vacation. These meetings are not just streamed, they're recorded. So if you feel like it, you can always, can't attend virtually the official one. You can always watch it afterwards.
Great.
If you feel like it, because then they'll actually be, voting and going through the design review criteria. So it'll be a little bit more substantive.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and good luck with the project.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a good.
Yeah, good luck with it.
Thank you.
It's an exciting one.
Yes, try it out. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes from February the 2nd?
Mhm.
Will move they be accepted.
Rebecca will second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, speak your names.
Eric,
Rebecca.
And Stephen,
Awesome. Thank you.
does anyone have anything else to add at this point? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Rebecca will second.
All in favor, speak your names.
Eric.
Rebecca.
And Stephen. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. I expect at least this will be on as a formal application for the next meeting on March 2nd. And we may have some others too. There's a bunch of stuff bubbling away in the background.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Have a good night.